Alright, y'all, our next lesson in our 8th grade standards unit, kind of a mix of everything, we're going to learn about parallel lines and transversals. So the title for today is Parallel Lines and Transversals. Write that in your table of contents. Then on the next clean sheet of notebook paper, write the title, Parallel Lines and Transversals, at the top of the page. And then your essential question for today is, what is the relationship between angles when a set of parallel lines is cut by a transversal? Hit pause and set up your notes for today. When you're ready to move on, press play. All right, first some vocabulary. Go ahead and hit pause and copy these 3 terms down. These will be on your vocab quiz at the end of this unit. What is a transversal? A transversal is a line that intersects 2 parallel lines. It may help you to draw a little picture to know what we're talking about here. So if we have 2 parallel lines, pretend those look like they're parallel. A transversal is going to look like this. It's going to be a line that cuts through them. So that red line there, that is the transversal. What is an interior angle? Interior angles are formed on the inside of 2 lines cut by a transversal. So on this little diagram I just drew, the interior angles are going to be the ones in between the parallel lines. So it would be this angle, this angle, this angle, and this angle. And then third, what is an exterior angle? They are formed on the outside of 2 lines cut by a transversal. So when we use color, it would be this angle, this angle, this angle, and this angle. So you may want to color code your picture like I did so that it gives you a visual of where the different types of angles are. Okay, so transversal is the red line cutting the 2 parallel lines. Interior angles are the 4 angles in between the parallel lines. And then the exterior angles are the 4 angles outside the parallel lines. All right, 4 more definitions. Go ahead and whine. I know it's a lot to copy. There's one more slide after this you have to copy, but it's short, and then we'll be done with the copying of the notes. So go ahead and copy these 4 definitions down. What is an alternate interior angle? Alternate interior angles are interior angles, so they're those angles that are in between the parallel lines on opposite sides of the transversal that are not adjacent, so they're not side by side. What in the world does all that mean? Okay, so if I have 2 parallel lines cut by a transversal, okay, it forms 8 angles. I'm going to just number them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So the alternate interior angles are going to be inside the parallel lines, and they're going to be on opposite sides of the transversal. So 3 and 6 would be alternate interior angles. The other pair of alternate interior angles would be 4 and 5. Okay. Next, alternate exterior angles are exterior angles, so they're outside the parallel lines and they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So let's look at those. It would be 1 with 8, and then it would be 2 with 7. Those are alternate exterior angles. So they're on opposite sides of the transversal and they're outside the parallel lines. All right, next is corresponding angles. And if you look at our little diagram up here, we have this little group of 4 angles, and then we have this little group of 4 angles. It is going to be the angles that are located in the same position, just on the different parallel lines. So we would have 1 with 5, we would have 2 with 6, we would have 3, this is getting messy, 3 with 7, and then we would have 4 with 8. So they're 1 interior and 1 exterior angle formed on the same side of the transversal. They're kind of like in the same location, just on the different parallel lines. And then last, a term you already know, supplementary angles are 2 angles that add up to 180 degrees, and you can see lots of pairs of those in the diagram. We have 1 and 2, we have 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. We could go this way as well. 1 and 3, 5 and 7, 2 and 4, 6 and 8. Okay, last thing to copy, a little table that tells us some very important information. This is going to help us find missing angle measures. All of these different types of angles that we just discussed along with vertical angles that we learned about in our 7th grade angles unit, are congruent. What does congruent mean? It means that they are equal. Their angle measures are the same. So alternate interior angles, congruent. Alternate exterior angles, congruent. Corresponding angles, congruent. Vertical angles, congruent. The only ones that are going to be supplementary are those adjacent side-by-side angles. Copy this little table into your notes and then we'll try some examples. Okay, so we just kind of went through one like this, but let's one more time just find a couple pairs of each different type of angle. Let's start with alternate interior. Alternate interior, remember between the parallel lines on opposite sides of the transversal, we would have 3 and 6 as a pair of alternate interior. We would have 4 and 5 as a pair of alternate interior angles. Okay, alternate exterior angles, let's just visualize those. We would have 1 with 8 outside the parallel lines on opposite sides of the transversal, and then we would have 2 with 7. That would be a pair of alternate exterior. Next, corresponding angles. We would have 1 with 5. We would have 2 and 6. We would have 3 and 7. And we would have 4 and 8. Notice how they're located in the same spot. It's just this line and this line are what's different about them. And then last, supplementary angles, take your pick. We got 1 and 2, we got 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. We got 1 and 3, 2 and 4, 5 and 7, 6 and 8. I skipped vertical angles. Let's review vertical angles. Remember they are directly across from each other, across from the vertex. 1 and 4, 5 and 8, 2 and 3, 6 and 7. And all of those types of angles we just talked about, except for the supplementary ones, are going to be congruent, meaning their angle measures are the same. So let's try a problem where we're solving for some angle measures. I'm going to kind of skip ahead. Okay, here. If angle 8 equals 120 degrees, I want you to do this one with me. Draw this little diagram over here. Call this example 1. Do this one with me. If angle 8 equals 120 degrees, find the measure of, and we're going to do those different angles. So I want you to draw, once you've drawn the little diagram, we're going to write 120 degrees for angle 8. Okay? Now, look at angle 8. What kind of a relationship would it have with angle 2? What kind of pair of angles are those? Those are alternate interior angles. What do we know about alternate interior angles? They are congruent. So if 8 is 120, then 2 is 120. All right, now angle 5, the next angle I'm finding. Look at angle 5. What do we know about angle 8 and angle 5 together? They are supplementary, meaning they add to equal 180. So if 8 is 120, I would just say, what is 180 minus 120? It is 60, so that would be angle 5 is 60 degrees. Let me write these over here. Angle 2 is 120 because they're congruent. Angle 5 is 60 because they're supplementary. All right, angle 6, look at angle 6 right here. Angle 8 and angle 6 are vertical angles. Vertical angles are, congruent? Yep, congruent. So that would be 120 as well. And number 2, we've already done that, so I'm going to skip it. Let's try another one where we're finding missing angle measures. Okay, we'll do this one. Number 2, another diagram slightly different than the last one. They tell us if angle 8, I can't read, is 63 degrees. Find the measure of angle 7. So look at 7 and 8. What kind of angles are those? They are supplementary, so I would do 180 minus 63, and that's going to give me 117. Okay, because they are supplementary. Okay, angle 2, I look at angle 2. Angle 8 and angle 2 are alternate interior angles, which are congruent. So this would also be 63 degrees. angle 1. Angle 1 and angle 8 don't have a relationship, so I'm going to use 2 and 1 to find that angle measure. 2 and 1 are supplementary, so I would subtract 180 minus 63. I already did that over here. So angle 1 is 117. Okay? All right, last example, and then you can get started on digits. Let's practice naming the pairs of corresponding angles one more time. Corresponding angles are the ones that are in the same spot, just in the different parallel lines. We would have 1 and 5. We would have 2 and 6. We would have 3 and 7. We would have 4 and 8. That's for number 1. All right, look at that second question. If angle 4 is 105 degrees, what is the measure of angle 8? Okay, look at 4 and 8. What kind of angles are those? We just talked about it. They are corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are congruent, so angle 8 would also be 105 degrees. All right, if angle 4 is 105 degrees, what is the... Oh, did I skip one? I did. Okay, just kidding. This is 105 degrees. Sorry. Number 2, what would be the measure of angle 2? Angle 2 and angle 4 are supplementary, so I would subtract 180 minus 105. That is 75. And I feel like you should be able to name different pairs of angles. We already practiced that. Okay, you're ready now to start on digits. If you have questions, please ask me. If you need help, please ask me. We're in 8th grade again for the digits, 11.1, and then work on the IXL skills.